welcome everyone, and congratulations to all of us. Somehow this is more fun this year. As I'm telling people to go off to the beach, and here we are. Okay, so what we're going to do is I will talk about some of you, the principals will talk about some of you, and we just want you to know how grateful and how in awe we are of all that we've given to the children of the Henry Hudson schools. And I hope you all have great plans for September 1st. I'm kind of balancing going to the U.S. Open, which I've always wanted to do early during the week, or being on the beach. You know, it's a tough life. But anyway, you guys will be fine. Okay, so I'd like to start with Frenchie Lindsay, and I'd like Anna to come up and start congratulating our teachers from Frenchie Lindsay. However, before we start, we have to do this one more time, and I don't even know if you all know how purposeful Doreen and I have been for the past 8 years. So Doreen, come join me, please. Doreen and I were in very strange situations from time to time over the past 8 years. Thankfully, we're not anymore. However, we stood like this, right next to each other, on so many occasions, without even talking about it, just to stand together. So I made a really good friend, Doreen. I'm impressed with your work. I'm impressed with your commitment to this district. And what you put up with being president of the HHEA is astounding. And Marie, I don't know what's wrong, but best of luck to you. Thank you. I hope you have someone to stand with in the same way. Okay, because this has been very meaningful and very important work. So I can't wait to take your art classes, and this is enough. Okay, so we are going to start with our elementary schools. We're starting with Frenchie Lindsay. So all of our teachers and aides who are retiring from Frenchie, wait a minute, can we get someone? Yeah? No, we have to get someone. Okay. Presents. Okay. Anyway, thanks. Let's start. We have with all the teachers and teaching assistants and aides and monitors and everyone else retiring from Frenchie Lindsay. Please join us up here. Come on, Greg.
Thank you. Unfortunately, some of us couldn't be here this evening. We're busy doing other things. But like I said at our retirement party, Frenchie Lindsay is like a marvelous sauce, and everybody is a special ingredient. And you take those ingredients out slowly, it's hard. They cannot be replaced. You have to look for alternate ingredients. And it's going to be very hard. Sandy Donahue is 1 in a million. I mean, there's someone who's dedicated his time from 7 o'clock in the morning till I don't know what time. I get these emails at 2 in the morning about his ideas. Sandy is the pipe paper of Frenchie Lindsay. The children just follow him wherever he goes. As you know, I had given him the Golden Anchor Award or the Extra Mile Award, and he really deserves it. You are heart and soul, and I love you for everything you've done. And there are 2 teaching assistant positions open, and he's applying for them on Monday. I just want to say that I've been very blessed. Mr. Samboli came down, and he too is unbelievable. And a big shout out. He has just set the whole hallway afire with music in the morning. What an amazing person. Kathy Sponsello right now, again, who is putting more time with students right now as we speak, and she's doing the speech. Unbelievable transfer to Frenchie Lindsay. And Robin Zalacki, who served for many years and unfortunately had a little bit of a mishap. I guess if you want to say a broken hip, it's a mishap, but she too tried so hard every year and worked so well and just loved the children, and that's what it's all about. I also want to say congratulations to a soulmate of mine, Ben Maynard, who kind of showed me the ropes of community and told me when I was wrong and what I needed to change. Without her, I wouldn't be where I am today, and Nancy Raccoon. So I want to thank everyone for their very, very hard work and dedication to the Franklin Community family.
A lot of good people are this year. I'd like to move on to the Canada Plank Elementary School. We're starting with, like I said, we'd like to move on to Queens Woods Elementary School. Dr. Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. I have the pleasure of speaking about the extraordinary educators from Burnsville School. I'd like to ask both of you to come up and Stuart, Lorraine Gianetta, and Betty Maynard. And although I've only been here less than a year, I think I've gotten to know these wonderful women pretty well. I'm going to start with Pam. Pam does many things at Burnsville. She's, of course, a teacher. She's an advocate for teachers. She's building meaning that she does many things. She's also been my biggest cheerleader this year. I remember at my first office meeting, I kept looking up with teachers and everyone was sitting there and Pam smiling at me. Okay, I can take it. Sorry to leave. Everything's going well. Mrs. Stewart's smiling. So I certainly appreciate her support over the years. She's in the whole teaching class this year, and when we get into that classroom, we can't have the general teachers and the special education teacher. And more importantly, we can't tell which students are the special education students and which are the general education students. So, fabulous job this year, we will see. I want to just give a few examples of what some Pam's students have said about her this year. She would write little sentences and songs for us to remember things. Mrs. Stewart told us how we need who we are. She is supportive. If something is wrong, she will help you. You can trust her. She understood us. She is fun and always positive. She's always there for us. She listens to our problems. She's fair. She made her into fun. She was the best teacher ever. We will miss you. And on to Mrs. Gianetta. Don't start crying. Lorraine has a very special bond with her students. She works in the resource room. She's worked with many of these students for years. She is their biggest advocate, whether they're struggling academically, on the playground, socially, whatever the case may be. I'm going to count on Lorraine to advocate for her students. And we will miss her next year, as will I. I didn't ask, but one of her assistant asked some of the students what they thought about Mrs. Gianetta, and this is what they had to say. I love Mrs. Gianetta so much, and I miss her a lot. She understood me and helped me with my reading skills. I probably did a lot better on my state test because of her. She understood what help I needed. I will miss her. I like that she wants to live my letters. I read Goldilocks to her. She was nice. She helps me with learning and homework. Mrs. Gianetta makes learning fun. She's so nice. I'm so glad to work with her. Mrs. Gianetta always helps me with my work. She's kind to us and helps us make new friends. I want to thank Mrs. Gianetta for teaching me to read. It's clear that you students will miss you. We will all miss you. Congratulations. And finally, Betty Maynard. Betty has dedicated 39 years to the Hunter Hudson School District. She's worked in every building, South Region will exist in the district, and this year she's at Burnsville and also SCV. Betty cares deeply about the students that she works with, and although she doesn't have her own class or see students necessarily on a regular basis, if she's evaluating a student or helping them work through a problem, she feels responsible for that student and wants to make sure that that student succeeds and is the best that they can be. Betty will certainly stick with us and for us. Her report very meticulous, she wanted to compliment her, get at the hard facts. And as a member of our instructional support team, she asks the hard questions, and we assure her that teachers are doing everything they can to meet the needs of the children. Josh is also going to talk a little bit about that and what the students have to say.
Thanks for warming up the crowd here. And Debbie has also been a great resource when dealing with parents and trying to change outcomes, supporting them, again, asking some tough questions, and again, in the interest of students. And like Dr. Kramer was sharing, I spoke to some students as well, and this is what they had to say. Thanks for inviting me to your office. You let me build buildings, cars, houses, gas stations. This makes me feel happy and good. I miss my time with Mrs. Maynard. Friendly, helpful, other adjectives used. Thanks for making the ideas of kindness sticks. Playing dolls and games together, building Legos. And the last one was from one student who said, "You are so nice and the best teacher in the world. I hope you have a nice rest of your life. You have always said to me that you should treat others how you want them to treat you. So I want to treat you the best because you have always been nice to me. I am very, very sad that you're leaving, and we miss you and thank you for everything." We have 4 other people from ED who are 3 of them were not able to make it, but Mrs. Raccoon, come on down. Now I'll take Mrs. Raccoon to the end here. Lindsay O'Loughlin, one of our custodians, is unable to make it because we're working right now, actually. Students also talk very highly of him for cleaning the bathrooms, classroom, positive interactions, very helpful with the staff, and I appreciate his work. So although he's not here, we appreciate Lindsay and all his work. Another teacher that is not able to be here is Mrs. Weinheim, one of our reading teachers. And when talking to students who I think give you a great picture into how teachers make a difference in the lives of students, the first one is actually a former student and actually a teaching assistant right now in our school. Had her back in 1997. And said, "Mrs. Weinheim was my reading teacher when I was in 1st grade. She was always kind, patient, and helpful. Thank you for your wonderful work here. We will miss you." And that continued to be true until this very year. Other students, you're the best reading teacher. You taught us words, numbers, reading strategies, and more, all in a fun way. You made sure we got our work done. It's really sad that you need to leave. Thank you for having me in the 1st grade book club. I will miss you, and gave us confidence. And what was always impressive about Mimi is that bag of tricks. She did 1st grade a good portion of her career, and she had several different ways in a matter of minutes that she could present the same skill or concept. She had positive energy, optimism. She did like the PR when we had that in the district. It always really helped up our school and our district. And when we did take a big change in our district as far as our school, we were dealing with the multiple grades for reading teachers. And she only had done 1st. She was a great example of how to be flexible and make the best out of something and learn from it. So we really will miss and appreciate Mrs. Weinheim. And finally, the last person that's not really there, but we'll talk about it, Mrs. Trapasso, our math teaching assistant. And students pointed out the same things that we'll feel is, we can call her a teaching assistant, but she was much more than that. She's a community member that everyone knows and loves. She did like the Veterans Day breakfast, she helped gather things. Students said, when you broke my ankle, when I had a problem with my sister. They named so many things unrelated to math that she helped with. She was just a well-rounded asset to our school. A couple of things I shared that students said is, when I found out Mrs. Trapasso was retiring, it almost broke my heart. She is such an amazing part of our school's community and willing to help whenever it's needed. From extra help in the morning to lessons in math class, she always helped me and my classmates. I'll miss you. Somebody else said, thank you for everything you've done for our school, helping us for math. You gave me the strength and confidence that I've never had before. You are nice and sweet. Thanks for helping everyone. You make sure everyone understands. You're one of the smartest math teachers I know. And it's interesting, as a teaching assistant, no one ever called her that. She was always one of the math teachers in the building, which I think is a kudos to her. I'm thankful to help me understand math better, and so on. Makes learning fun and a lot easier. And we thank and appreciate Mrs. Trapasso. All right, now to our live Mrs. Raccoon. And she's been a great asset. This is my 4th year, and I've learned a lot. You know, like was shared earlier, a lot of us new administrators need to lean on people and ask questions and look for guidance, and Nancy has been great with that. I've always appreciated her patience, her ideas. She's been a great resource knowing what's out there in the community for students, for families, and has come up with several ideas to improve the lives of our school community. And again, here's to some students that know you. Helpful, kind, friendly, nice. Every time there's a problem, she talks to me. We play games together, I use her toys. We talk about a lot of different things, including safety and how to socialize. Thank you for helping me when I was down. I love you. I love to draw with you. You always say nice things about my drawings and you were fun. So, thank you for everything, and we'll miss you. And one more thing, community staff members, principals, assistant principals we're talking about, Dr. Gottlieb over here. So just a couple things, I know it's not really our term, but we love to
The
make
teachers have said about you. Not the students and parents.
One of the things that we always appreciate is our relationship with the students. You like to be in classrooms, you know people's names, you do interactive. I know Senator Hayes here and Fran, I know you have a bond with certain teachers, and you've always done certain routines and traditions with them, and I think it's important that you're at that level and involved in that level with everybody. You've always been honest, good, bad, ugly, we're going to hear it. So I think that's something that's been important. You've been open to all conversations at all levels. Doesn't matter what it is, you've been a great resource, great lifeline, shared articles, books, resources, and always there to help us out. So thank you on behalf of the principals and assistant principals.
I have this habit of calling my young administrators grasshopper. And if you're, as old as I am, you know what that means. And other than that, oh well. Anyway, thank you, grasshopper. Okay. So, we're moving to my original grasshopper, who's John Owens in the middle school. He started as a middle school principal as I was coming off many years of being the middle school principal. And this has been fun. So, Mr. Owens.
Mr. Zane, why don't you come on up? While he's making his way, Dr. Gottlieb, thank you for many years of professional interaction. We've been accused of being the school mafia by some of our colleagues, but we really don't care. It's a little truth there. Dr. Gottlieb understands middle school, not everybody does, and so it's been a pleasure working with her in that regard. Many of the other retirees, I've been here long enough that I've had the privilege of working with many of you on committees. I was in high school for a while. I've been in different buildings for different reasons. And it's been a pleasure working with all of you, all the different units. So congratulations on your retirements. And now Mr. Zane. Mr. Zane is interesting because in his little blurb, he embraced the term shop teacher. And if Mr. Zane were just a shop teacher, he was one of the best ones. He has a high level of skill and professionalism, but he's always been far more than that. And not everybody always gets that, but I have since the beginning. And Mr. Zane, from the very beginning, was way more than shop. In the high school, he created a design and a production system that was far beyond making birdhouses. The kids worked together. It was very businesslike in the way they chose their products, and then they next produced them, and then they marketed them. It was really before its time. Mr. Zane was doing Project Lead the Way before we even knew those initials existed. He then came to the middle school and did the same thing there, and we literally went from salt and pepper shakers to students designing dragsters on a computer, building them in the shop, and then racing them. So one of the most perfect middle school things you could ever do. This all came to a good combination when we were in the Project Lead the Way meeting with a community member who runs a shop locally that actually built parts that are on the space shuttle. And he said, I Mr. Zane wasn't there, he would have been fun for me to hear. He said he has engineers in his company that are great engineers that can't turn a wrench. And that's been Mr. Zane's thing all along, that you need to be able to understand the mechanics of something as well as the engineering behind it. And then finally, what he's also done is always work on the level of social skills, and we call them soft skills now, and they're coming through with college and career readiness. Mr. Zane understood a long time ago that there's more than just being able to operate the tool and making the design. You have to be able to present yourself professionally. So it's been a pleasure working with you, Mr. Zanny.
Thanks. Laura, good. Mrs. Nyes, we'll go to. I got a email late this afternoon from Mr. Mack, and he has a family emergency, so I will do the best I can with Laura. The teachers from the high school, and definitely from the high school who will be retiring, I have relationships with many of you, so that's good. So Sandy and Nancy, come on. Mr. Stanislaw from Thomas, nice to see you again. You can up and hang out somewhere.
So we're going to kind of tag team here. I'll start from the end up front. So in my less than a year time here, I've had the pleasure of getting to know everybody here. Starting with Linda, our beloved Linda. It has not taken me very long to know how special you really are and how special the kids feel you are, the staff as a whole. Linda, every single day, is coming to help, offering her help. What do you need? Where do you need to go? Do you need copies? Can I run over here? Can I do this? You are invaluable, heart and soul. So it did not take me very long to realize what a special person you really are, and we're going to be devastated to lose you, but I hope you come back and visit us very often. And Deb, I only got to know you for about 4 months, but again, in this short 4 months, it was beyond unbelievable. I was able to see her on the day that she walked out for your retirement at the end of December, and the halls were filled, and there were tears, beyond tears, from the counselors and the teachers and staff. I was teared up as well. It was amazing to see the love that everybody had for you and all that you brought to them all these years. You know, and positions like Linda and Deb are positions that they get to work with all of the kids. They are the face of the school. They interact with so many different types of people, different types of moods, and different types of day. And you've always done it with such grace and such love and such big smiles all the time, and that's so evident. So thank you very much for that.
Okay, and I have to say, it's been a real joy knowing you both. I can't imagine anything much more stressful than being the secretary in the high school guidance office as college applications are coming in and going out. So bless you, and thank you. And you already look really great. Nancy and Sandy, we've had good and close relationships over the years, working on professional development together. And, you know, we have an affinity for the same clothes and shoes, which is kind of fun, and we've talked about over time. Sandy, you have been the heart of the Spanish department for such a long time, and we'll have to carry on, but teaching your upper level classes, and with grace and joy all the way through. So, congratulations, and have some fun. And Nancy, what, 5 grandchildren?
Sorry.
5 grandchildren? Awesome. Nancy and I have shared the bond. I have twin daughters, and her daughter had twin daughters, so we've had these conversations. But, you know, more importantly here, the work we've done for the children in our district, our most vulnerable children, at the end of their careers here in Penn Health, have had you to advocate for them and to get them in the right place and help them graduate from high school. And starting out correctly by you going to the 8th grade, to get the kids on the right program when they come to the high school. So there are a whole lot of families out there who thank you and bless you for all that you've done for their children. So congratulations, thank you, and enjoy their day.
I just wanted to, on behalf of the high school, say something about Alice. Again, I was just hired less than a year ago, but the first person I met at my first interview was Dr. Gottlieb, and from the moment I met her, her spark, her enthusiasm, and her passion for education was very evident. And it was one of the, I don't know if you realize this, it was one of the things that really drove me to want to work for HEDNet. And since I started from the beginning, you've been nothing but a support, and I've seen the support she's been to all the staff in the building. Always questioning, always inquiring, always there. The minute I have a question or anybody has a question, willing to answer, willing to help, and your true love and passion for education is so evident. So thank you for this less than a year experience. I hope that our relationship continues for many, many more years.
Thank you, everybody. I can't imagine enjoying comments more than coming from the people I'm working with for the past 8 years. So I thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure. Thanks.
So before Alice has a seat, we'll invite her back up here for one more set of comments, and I'll have Doreen join me up here, who's also going to chime in. As all of you probably know, I'm finishing my second year here, so I don't have the history and the longevity with Alice, but the experiences I have had in 2 years have been very memorable, and I'll share a couple. With Alice, I've had a hard time trying to decipher, and I'm not sure I ever will, the difference between her being very, very honest and perhaps not always wearing her filter. But what we do know is that, and what I know is that she has a very, very deep commitment to our kids and to this organization. The hours she puts in, the emails she and I exchange late at nights, on weekends, on vacations, shows and has shown a deep commitment to the Hendrick Hudson students, the staff, and what we're trying to accomplish in our community. One experience I will forever cherish was it was about 3 weeks in. She and I were on the road. We were going to Columbia University. We were going to watch this science modeling staff development activity. And she decided to drive, and it was my first time on the Sawmill Parkway. She assured me she knew where she was going, she knew where the speed traps were, she knew when to speed up, she knew when to slow down. And since then, I vowed never to ride in the car with her again. I honestly don't think I have. So we're driving and we're talking about simple stuff, not work, because we're trying to figure out who we are and what we believe and sort of our experiences. And she opened the floodgates by saying, you know, my daughters are about your age. And it just sort of dangled from there. But we talked about music, we talked about politics, and then she went on to say, you know, I like you. I'm not sure I wanted to, but I really like you. And she had, back then, and I know she still has, and many of you have experienced, a way of either breaking the ice or cutting the tension or de-escalating very emotional situations that we all face in this profession. And it's a skill that I think not many of us have, and I know it's a skill probably all of us want to replicate, because she has a knack about her to turn down the volume when the noise around us is deafening. So I want her to know that I appreciate your honesty. You always told the truth to me, even when I know I didn't want to hear it, even when I told you not to tell me the truth. But she has a knack of being able to connect with people in ways that I know I will emulate or try to emulate, and many of us will. And Doreen, I spoke with Doreen a number of times, but most recently today, she has had some of the same experiences I have in a longer track record. So before I turn the microphone over, thanks for making this part of my career very memorable, very smooth, and full of a lot of laughs. So thank you.
Before I begin, I would just like to say congratulations to all of my colleagues and to Dr. Gottlieb, and I'd like to thank the board for recognizing all of us tonight. There has to be, I kind of was thinking about it, hundreds of years of teaching in this room, and it's really it's important that we get together and celebrate tonight. I've had the pleasure to work with Dr. Gottlieb for the past 8 years as an art teacher and as president of the Hendrick Hudson Education Association. As an art teacher, I've observed that Alice had a great interest in the artistic process. We enjoyed interesting conversations, intellectual conversations on art, style, culture, travel, and of course, education. When Alice would visit my classroom, whatever the students were working on, she would jump right in, sit down, and create alongside the students. She was always eager to learn what was being taught. She loves kids. Sometimes she would just walk over from the district office because she wanted to spend time with children. She's an administrator who really enjoyed spending time in the classroom. As an evaluator, she would give constructive criticism in a way that was not threatening and that one could use to elevate their teaching. I have used some of Alice's advice in my own teaching, as have many others in the district. As co-president of the Hendrick Hudson Education Association, Alice and I have had to work together and build bridges. We were always constructing bridges. Alice was able to speak to me when a situation would arise, and although we didn't always agree on matters, we held a mutual respect for each other and the positions that we both held. We worked on contracts, we worked on the APPR, we were on the communications committee, and we worked through countless issues that would arise over the years. We've worked together under 3 different superintendents, each with a very different style, and through it all, we have managed to maintain a professional relationship that has developed into a mutual caring for one another, which I am grateful for. Alice, I wish you the best, and I hope that retirement is all that you dreamed it would be. Fare thee well.
We would like, on behalf of the board, to thank you very much. I think, listening to everybody else speak, I think it's quite clear that the children are most important. Everybody said it's all about the kids. You talked with them, you communicated with them, you did art projects with them. And always, it's been 8 years. I didn't realize it was that long until he told me. I was like, oh my. Always, we've been through times when there's been very difficult decisions, and always at the end of the day, your conversation always came down to what's best for the children. And you've used that as your guide, and it hasn't seemed to steer you wrong. I mean, this is why you're here. And I think that's probably your greatest strength, and I thank you for that. And, to recognize, why you're here, but I think that's probably what's made you the effective administrator that you are, and made you such an asset to this district and helped us like you have. And I thank you for guiding us for the past 8 years. So thank you. Sometimes we didn't.
Very, very quickly, I would just like to say that many of the retirees have been colleagues of mine, and I know what wonderful, even past wonderful, that's not even a strong word, teachers, caring individuals you are, and how much you will all be missed, truly. And thank you so much for all of your years of service. As a former teacher and now a board member, I know how much it means. I know how difficult there are, being in this type of career every single day with children. And, we're being asked more and more to do from the state. And we just would like to say thank you for your years of service. Thank you for all you've done and all I'm sure you will continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't possibly improve on what she said. She knows what she's talking about, and I truly appreciate your service, so thank you. That being said, this is over, so this is Doreen knows, look at, she's heading out over.
Doreen has been through too many of this.
significantly. Our first order of business, now that the fun part's over, and celebrating these individuals, is to get our agenda in order. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented? All those in favor? Are there any items that we would like to pull? We are pulling, I had this section on the professional personnel. I'm pulling section professional, 8, 9, and 10, section number, and we'll just table that until a later time. Are there any other items anybody would like to pull? Then can I get a motion to approve the items not pulled from the consent agenda? Second, all those in favor? Okay, that brings us to items removed, the donations. And that would be a donation from the Furnace Woods PTA, which would be for their arts and education, and donation of a fish tank at BV. Both of these, the fish tank is an individual who was contributing it, which I think is wonderful because it'll be a nice asset to the school. If that's, I imagine one of the classes is taking care of it. Very excited. And the Arts and Ed is the PTA supporting the various programs within, for the students. So can I get a motion to approve the donation for Furnace Woods Arts and Ed and for the fish tank at Buchanan for Pine? Second. All those in favor? That brings us to audience comments. Oh, I didn't know if you were staying for a reason. Thank you. That was very good.
Yeah.
Oh, please do. Yes, right here.
Thank you.
And please your name and address.
Yes. Scott Sangretti, son Alec, Bristol, 10 BB Elementary, and my address is 3 Conway Road. There are a few notes for us. So I'm here with some of the BB parents. I want to thank the board for letting us come today. It's really nice seeing all the teachers and Dr. Gottlieb. Congratulations to my mother's a retired teacher, so you guys are great in our book. I'm speaking on behalf of the current first grade class of the Buchanan Elementary. These 69 students make up a great bunch of learners, eager, wide-eyed, albeit a bit rambunctious children. While one of my sons is part of the group, I've gotten to know many of them over the past few years as I coach them here in Portland. We're asking for your help in continuing to make our education of our children as successful as possible at BB Elementary. We've been very happy and pleased with their success, but want to ensure it continues. We are concerned and like to bring to the board our concerns. The possibility of decreasing the current class, moving from 1st to 2nd grade from 4 sections to 3 sections. When they entered 1st grade, BB opened to 4 sections due to enrollment. This past year, the children saw numerous successes with smaller numbers in classrooms. The teachers were able to provide more individualized instruction as well as smaller groups for reading and math. Our children have achieved more and had more direct instruction due to this change. My son's reading has skyrocketed this year, and I definitely attribute that to the one-on-one. I'd like to review a few of our concerns. My mother, who I mentioned, is a retired teacher, and I were talking about the class size and the possibility of going up to 23. 23 becomes very difficult for the teachers to instruct. We have many students with behavioral issues, and while they're honestly great kids, some of them need a little more attention than others. With that size, it becomes difficult for the teachers to control. From the information we've gathered, the other 2 elementary schools in the district do not have any sections of 2nd grade next year that are going to exceed 20 students. Frank G. Lindsay, 19 to 20, Furnace Woods, 19 to 20 respectively. We do not feel that it's fair or appropriate to make the class of BB 23 throughout the 3 sections. We feel the equity versus equality between the schools should be equal. Historically, the number of students enrolled at BB increases over the summer. We feel that it would not be wise to start the class at 23, knowing we could very well be at 24 to 25 come December. Currently, there are 43 residences for sale in only the BB Elementary District. While sales are no indicator that children are going to enroll, the current trend of baby boomers moving out and young families moving in is quite strong here, and which is a tribute to the district, to the schools, to the ratings we've been getting. If you go on school rating and stuff, when you're looking at real estate, our numbers have been going up year over year, which is a great contribute to you guys. If anything, we should hold that decision and not make it at this time. We want our children to continue with their successes in all subject areas, particularly reading and math, which is the big state test. We truly feel this love of learning has been fostered by the small construction ratio and the wonderful teachers that they've had during their first grade. We'd like to keep it going. We realize these are just numbers to the district, but it means a lot to the parents, many of whom are here tonight with me, to keep our children in properly sized classes. I want to thank the board for listening to our concerns and working with all parties, parents, and teachers, our wonderful administrator, Josh Cohen. You're going to be Dr. Sims if you're going and we really want to stay involved and ensure that the spur of education they so deserve and keeping the extra section at EV Elementary. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll just comment briefly. I had the opportunity this morning to meet with first and second grade teachers at BV and some of the related service staff, and Josh and I met for a little over an hour and a half later in the afternoon to talk about the concerns you echo. We're going to have a presentation here around our elementary enrollment class size to look at our projections and our staffing. So it's on my radar, it's on Josh's radar, it's on the first and second grade teachers' radar. We're going to continue to monitor it. We do believe, as history will tell us, there's a lot of fluctuation with kids coming and going. About a month ago, we had a presentation that showed that over the last 5 summers, we've had around 8 class splits through our district. And the data, specifically with BV, first graders going to second graders, it's very likely that will happen. It's a matter of when, and I think we have to allow that to happen naturally, so that we're not, so this board and organization isn't ignoring its own set of practices, but we're going to continue to monitor it. We believe that there are some other circumstances that may lead the grade level to split naturally anyway. Worst case scenario is we track it over the summer. We have students coming and going every day. We see new students register, and Josh will be the first guy I speak with, and I know he will hit send to a mass email to a group of parents and keep you informed. So your concerns are echoed. It's just a matter of time.
I appreciate you guys looking out for the kids and making sure that this best we can for what we have. Thank you very much, all.
Shannon Walsh, 916 Family Skill. I have a son going from first, well, the parents from first to second. And I just want to add to that very briefly, one thing to consider, which obviously you have a lot of points to consider, is this is the grade that has the inclusion classes. We're the school with the inclusion classes. I really think that needs to be said out loud. Because two of those classes up before have the multiple students. My child happens to be in one of them. And I would really be disappointed to see those classes get squished to 3, because I know the problems of some of the children in our class specifically, and if the teachers don't have the one-on-one that they need, and aids and extra hands for some of those kids, learning goes out the window because they're too busy worrying about the child who's crawling out of class, or the child who's hitting pencils off the kids' tables, or the disruptive children. If they don't have that help, it's not going to, oh my God, I can't think of the word. All the leaps and bounds that kids have made this year will slow down next year. So I really hope you take that into consideration when you're making those decisions. It's not just splits and numbers. I think this is the class that has the inclusion class this year. So I think, for the years coming, they should be the ones who have the least amount of students in the classes comparatively to the other 2 schools. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
doesn't look like we can add or count. Through kindergarten through third grade, where the class sizes are pretty small, the Hennig way of calculating the split is, it's exactly the same as the last time. We haven't had any change since May. Anyway, if you see that the magic number to go to 4 classes in second grade is 70, and it looks like anyone who can multiply would think that it's 67. So the Hennig way of calculating the split, and this is, it took me a few years to understand it, but you know, it's the Hennig way, is you get to the 23rd class student in all 3 classes, and then when you get to the 24th, you split. The reason that this was set up way before any of us were here is that we all know that people move in and move out in the course of the summer, and if you split too early, that's a very expensive and big decision if then 2 people move out. What we did do, however, a couple of years ago when there was a split situation in 5th grade in both BV and Furnace Woods, same numbers in both schools. Because the 4th and 5th grade numbers are so big, we didn't wait to get to the 28th child. So we cut back on the Hennig method for those 2 grade levels where the guideline is really high. 26 kids is a lot. So you can see that although you're absolutely right that the number of students in each class at BV and Frank G going into second grade, not Frank G and Furnace Woods going into second grade next year are under 20. It's because of the guidelines and where the splits hit. And if you look at other grades, you're going to see that Frank G's 3 sections of 5th graders next year, those are going to be big classes because they're close. So it's, you know, it's a range. It's not willy-nilly for, so you really need someone to move in, is my basics. Yeah, you need one. Okay, but we'll watch. Well, they'll watch all summer.
Is it something to all these classes where the inclusion class switches, each year because they're different schools?
No, they don't switch. They don't switch.
They don't switch, but which school district?
It's
The ICT.
She's asking who has the ICT class for the other.
Which school has the inclusion?
Oh,
class?
there are 2 co-teach classes in each building.
It says ICT.
Right, but
And they're 3 years apart, so that we have a kindergarten and a...
No, that makes perfect sense, but when it comes to numbers and splits, shouldn't the school that has those have the more consideration for?
Well,
less
most classes
students?
have 3 adults in them. Yeah, there are 3 adults in the ICT classes, so that's an advantage for all the children in that class.
So it will still be the same when it's 3 sections?
Yeah, of course.
When they did it for the 5th grade back then, that was a board.
Can you come up to
Yeah.
Sure. I can speak loud. Sorry. I don't want to be rude.
Well, it's in your televised when you're up there. When they did it for the 5th grade, it was because of the high class size already.
Right.
They were getting to the 20, and it was a board decision.
It was boards. Okay, I wasn't sure of the BB process.
Yeah, it was a
How
board
that is,
decision.
how that is established, because, okay, so that is a board decision, so it is good. That's good. Well, good to hear. Okay, well, hopefully, those houses get sold quickly and a lot of kids move in and
Make it easy.
You know,
naturally happen.
Josh is going to be driving around the neighborhoods looking for moving trucks, remember?
Josh is
Friends
gonna
are
help
relatives,
them
we're gonna start
Looking
talking about-
looking for plastic.
You don't have kids, now we're not showing you the house, sorry.
You have Barbara Fenn, she'll put her on Facebook. How's that? Don't worry.
We need some houses sold.
Josh has the greatest housewarming gifts of all of our principals. You're welcome.
There you go.
Dr. Fallon, what is the ratio in an ICT class of general ed and special ed?
Well, it's not a hard fast ratio. The numbers that are set by the state for 12 children in an ICT class, 12 special ed children.
We don't usually have that.
We don't usually get that high, and we're not that high at all in the BB classes because we split them into 2. Ideally, you wanted to see about like 3 to 1. You know, you don't want to see 50% of the or have 50% of the class needing special services. We'd like to have about a third of the class, ideally. But you know, when 12 is the top number in the state, the 12th number class of 36, and we don't have those classes that big.
I don't think, in all the years that I taught, I don't think we ever got.
We have some close to 12.
Yeah.
And some of these in other schools.
So the non-ICT class then would be at 24 with 2 adults.
No, the non-ICT class is a regular class. Right.
24.
But it wouldn't be 24. At 24, you split.
Sorry, 23.
23.
23.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what about that. Okay. See how the numbers work out for this one? Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent?
One of my first updates is the exact conversation we just had around staffing, so you have that document in front of you, and as we wrap up the school year and get into the summer, we will update this and we'll provide it for the board as these numbers and as the staffing patterns change. At the end of the month, literally at the end of the month, last 2 days of the month, our administrative team, our new administrators to the district in the last 3 years will begin its training with Cambrian, the strategic planning group that the district has used for quite some time. They will be with us for 2 full days to catch everyone up to speed, and we will officially kick off our revision process of the strategic plan in the fall. Earlier today, I sent out a survey to the board to gather some feedback about the process, about our experience, what worked, what we would like to see done a little bit differently. That feedback, we also asked from our administrative team, so we'll take your feedback and theirs, and we'll engage Cambrian with that so we can have a streamlined and perhaps a little more personalized process for our district going forward. And I'll leave my comments at that, but I would like to acknowledge, as we did earlier today, the retirement of staff. We are also retiring our student school board member, Jazz Munitz, who we thought June 24th would be his last meeting with us, but the senior award ceremony was changed to the 24th. So this will be his last board meeting, and would like to give him an opportunity to give some insights and feedback and share with us all the exciting things he learned and how he will take all of the great things he learned at Head Nod, particularly at the board meetings with him to Cornell.
All right. Well, so thank you guys so much for an awesome 2 years. I learned so much about how things happen behind the curtains, how everything really that you see around you and you take for granted actually comes to fruition through other people's hard work. So it was an amazing experience. From Head Nod's level, just seeing all of these people go out tonight, I know so many of them, I've worked with so many of them, not only at the high school level, but at BV, and even though when I heard their names at first I didn't recognize, as soon as I saw their faces, I realized what a huge impact they had made just by being a human and being an incredible person and teaching me just the basic social skills, and then up to, Mrs. Maldonado, although I can speak awful Spanglish. Mi equipado de pescadas en la cocina, my fishing gear is in the kitchen, I think, but I'm not sure. So it's been, exactly right. It's good to hear. So it really has been incredible. What?
It might be in the lobby at Furnace Woods, too.
Oh, yeah, right. So it's been an awesome thing, and even just going through and talking to the professors that I'll have next year and the students who I'll be going on with, when I compare what my high school education was to theirs, and these are kids coming from top private schools in the country and even in the world, ours stand superior. The things that we've gotten to do here are just incredible, and it's made all the impact in the world. For so many of our students are going off to incredible programs. We have Brown and Emory and Cornell and some really, really, truly some great places, and everyone, regardless of what school they're going to, had this solid foundation of not only the education but being a person. And there is no section for person on the SAT, but if it had, everyone who comes through Head Nod would have got that perfect 800 score. So it really has been an incredible experience. Made such special bonds with so many teachers and you guys. It's been so much fun, and although I don't want to go, it is the next step, and I'm very excited for it. And I feel confident that Head Nod has given me what I need to go off to cool places and succeed and go off and do some cool things. So thank you guys so much. It's been
Having you, and we thank all of your input.
Thank
We
you.
thought no, seriously, you always have something, and it's just wonderful. It's like, what do you think, Jess? And there's always something. No, that's a good thing.
Good.
So thank you.
Good. Well, thank you.
We're going to cycle back to our public hearing on the Entergy pilot by by the indication of interested community members. We don't believe there'll be a whole lot of dialogue, but we do want to go through the presentation briefly so that we can archive it online for those who want to watch it at home. So, Enrique, if you want to walk us through briefly, this is a two-step process. The public hearing is today, and the approval, recommendation for approval would be on June 24th.
Is there time to get to this?
I'm sorry?
We can have you talk slow if it has to take a while. He's asking if it has to take a set amount of time. In just the presentation.
Actually, so the board knows, this is not legally a requirement. This is the transparency that we want to show the community, how we, so they know exactly how we go to the numbers on the file. So again, Entergy owns Indian Point 1-3, and this is an agreement between Entergy and a combination of us, the free library, Town of Portland, County of Westchester, and the Canadian Fire Department. We all are going to have a 10-year agreement that begins July 2015, and that means the school year 2015-16 to 2024-25.
So,
Town of Portland started already. What they did was sign a 1-year agreement, and then they are going to sign the other 9-year agreement. There were some issues among them. They decided to go first for a 1-year agreement, but the agreement, the long-term agreement is going to be the same as ours. We are getting 80.75% of all the payments. For next year, we know the payment. The payment is going to be $23,272,958. That means the school district gets 80.75. After that, there's going to be a variable yearly increase that is going to be based on the New York State tax levy cap. Not the numbers, but on what the government tells us the cap is. If the tax levy is abolished or it's not renewed in 2 years, then the increase is going to be based on inflation. And it's going to have the same rules as the tax levy cap, which is the lower of inflation, or 2%. The other great thing about this agreement is that the payments, the first payment of around more than $10 million we'll get it in September, so we won't need to issue TANs for the first 5 months. So for me, for us, it was very important that we get the money early, so we don't get to issue TANs. A TAN is a tax anticipation note. We need to issue, in the past we issued $3 million of tax anticipation notes because our cash flow would have been negative for several months because we get the big taxes from Portland and from Entergy today in December. So in the past we didn't have enough money to keep the operation going between July and December. Now we have enough money.
That would be good for us because isn't that one of the issues with the comptroller?
Yes, that's one of the issues that the controller believes that silos. So that's why I wanted to be sure, and we're getting the money September 30th, I think. One of the concerns with Entergy was that for them and for us, what if they invest and they generate more power? We want to have, a portion of the taxes based on more power. So what we agreed was that we have a baseline generation, and if it goes higher or lower than 5% in a year calendar, If it goes higher, they will give us proportionately more money. If it goes lower, they will take proportionately more money, less money. They give us proportionately less money. And the reason they wanted to do that is because there's a lot of talk that DEC wants to shut down the plant during July because the water of the Gulf Hudson gets very warm and the fish cannot spawn. So they wanted to be sure that if their asset is less valuable, they should be paying less taxes, and we totally agree. And on the contrary, if their asset is more valuable because they are producing more, they will pay us more. Also, what they say, and we agree, is that if they need to invest money in safety, security, environment, anything that doesn't add to their bottom and to their top line, to revenues, then it will not increase their pilot payment. This agreement is on a tax year basis, not partial payments on our taxes. That means that if for some reason in the middle of the year they decide to close, it's not like, I close today and I'll pay you until today. They will pay us until the end of the year. Or if the generation is higher than 5%, it will go to the next year for the whole year. If then it goes back, it would go back for a whole year. So the payments are on a yearly basis. The other important part is that both parties, meaning GOS or Entergy, can decide to cancel the agreement if there's a permanent shutdown or a damage and destruction. And if we cancel the agreement, what it means is that their assessed value goes back into the tax rolls. Then, if there is still a permanent shutdown, and we agree that the pilot will continue, it's not like the school district from one year to the other one will lose the total amount. It will lose the amount over 3 years. Like that, it will give us some time to think what we can do, and suddenly from one year to the other one, we're hit with a $1 million tax increase. Entergy is waiting to be relicensed by the NRC, and they expect to be relicensed for 10 years. However, if they are relicensed for more than 10 years, then we can renegotiate the agreement and terminate the agreement. If we terminate the agreement again, we move the facility to the tax rules. We believe that it's a very good agreement for us. The first year, meaning for next year, the increase is about 4.3% compared to the money that we're receiving this year, and then the share the burden at the same level as the community members. That we felt that it was very fair.
Talk about the reason that we don't want to have it on the tax rolls.
There's 2 reasons why we don't want to have them in the tax rolls. The first one is that we believe we hire people, consultants who understands how to value power plants and nuclear power plants, that there are not that many, for tax reasons. They believe that under these circumstances, the assessment, if we put it in the tax rolls, will be lower than what the payments will be lower. At the beginning, they might be higher, much higher, but then the first thing they'll do is try to get a tax return. So we get a lot of money that we cannot put aside because we have, legally, we cannot have more than 4% in fund balance. So we'll spend it, And probably 1 or 2 years later, they'll win the tax resort and will owe millions of dollars. So those are the two reasons that we don't want these to be in the tax rolls. The third reason, obviously, is that we don't have predictability of a big part of our budget, which is more than $20 million. So what we will do, what we will ask you next week is for you to vote to approve the agreement. You can read it if you have any questions. If the community wants to come with questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Up until next week, until the board approves the agreement, there's a confidential agreement, so I cannot give them the agreement to the community. I cannot show them. In 2 weeks, when the board approves it, if it's approved, then it's going to be a public document. Thank you. Any questions?
I think the gentleman in the last row has.
Way back.
Thank you.
Behind the pole. Thank you, Enrique. Thank you for all your hard work on this. That brings us to committee reports. I don't know that there's been a lot this time of year, unless it's facilities. Carson. Would you like to talk about facilities?
Charles, facilities, we discussed, who outlined it for them?
We discussed the solar PPA. We had to make a decision by midnight yesterday which form we would take, whether we would install roofs or whether Siemens would install a roof, and which way we chose influenced the rate that we would pay, the total cost of the project. And Enrique can summarize it a little better than I can.
Thank you, Charles. Basically, if you remember when you approved the agreement with Siemens, there was an issue about who was going to fix, or it's not repair, but who was going to make the two of the roofs, Henry, the high school, and BV, the necessary work to extend the warranty for 15 years. And the reason why we wanted to wait until today was because we wanted to see if we can do it on our own from money from the capital projects, because it was possible. So yesterday we opened the bids, and the bids came way below our expectation. We budgeted about $900,000, and they came the lowest bid at 601, and the second lowest at 691. So, like I informed the board in the presentation when you approved the agreement, Siemens was thinking that the money that was going to cost to do the roofs for BB and the high school was going to be about $440,000. That came at $258,000. So we believe that we have enough money in the capital project, so we can do it ourselves. In addition, the septic portion of the field is coming below also budget. So we decided, and the facilities committee decided to go ahead and do it ourselves. So that will mean that our first kilowatt hour rate will be 11.5 cents for the first year, and then it will grow at 2.25% for the next 19 years.
That was, and we decided to The other committee, and that was good, appreciate all your hard work on the solar PPA last 18 months. It's been a slog to get there, but we have something we're one of the first in the state to do, which is innovative and creative. The other committee report that I have is Reed. I went to Reed last week, and it kind of surprised me. The chairperson of the committee is from Coat Farm, and she thanked Hendrick Hudson quite profusely for our agreement with them to do the credit.
For the credit for the taxes in October.
Tax credit agreement, and so they thanked Hendrick Hudson, and I said, really, it was Enrique and Joe that went out and talked to him. I think Enrique did most of those discussions, and so I appreciate that, that you went out of the way to help our neighbor meet those obligations, and their taxpayers get a tax credit, which is what affected. And then Reed's other decision is for next year whether to keep going, and so they're still talking about it. And what problem should they look at trying to solve? And a couple of things came up, possibly lobbying to see what exclusion should be for the tax levy cap, if there should be any for districts to lobby for, and so that's an issue that people are talking about. And then there's some issues around special education in the lower Hudson, in the Hudson Valley, that some districts were talking about. Having more kids with emotional disturbances and how you pay for those things, and whether there should be some state aid coming in for that, and those kind of things. And so over the summer, we're going to try to work it out. The leaders are going to try to work out something to focus on, and then come back together in September and see if we want to continue going.
Are there any others? Policy met, but we're going to be discussing our policies shortly. So we did want to let the board know we did have discussions about promotion and retention, just to take a look at the policy we have and whether we should give further examination to the issue. So that's going to be under research investigation.
Just to look and see whether what we have is sufficient or if it needs more. Okay. Thank you, because it's that sort of thing we're looking at that's planned better, so. Just a final thing, the board will be having a retreat this summer. We have our board meeting is July 22nd, so that will be, we'll have a short board meeting, and then we will have a get-together afterwards, and then we'll do it also the following day, the 23rd. Both times will be in the evening. I think if we tie it in with the board meeting, that's probably our best bet in terms of something probably on everybody's calendar already, and hopefully the 23rd works. In the event that it's not work, please let me know so we can come up with an alternative date.
22nd and 23rd.
Correct, in July. And that will bring us to our presentations and discussions.
Yes, we'd like to invite Annie up to give the board and her standing room only community update on all things communications. As the board knows, certainly in the past 18 months, we've made a focus of how we communicate, what we communicate, and how we interact with the larger school community. All the good things that are happening in the schools, communicating some of the things we're not too proud of, but a way of engaging our school community to support us in moving the needle, whether it's instructional, social, emotional, what have you. Annie has been with us a little over a year through BOCES, and will be ending her career with us shortly. She's moving to California, but we have a lot of things left on the checklist before she's allowed to head west on the wagon. So we'd like to give you a year-end report, some things that we've done, some things we're considering, some recommendations for next steps. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Joe. Let's see if good, okay.
I'm just going to run through this quickly because the last time I did one of these, which was, I guess, a year ago, there was a little bit of blowback about how long the process took. So we're going to make this short and sweet, Alice.
Alice.
As you can see, there's a list of accomplishments here. The bullet points are simple. We produced more than 350 press releases, announcements, Facebook posts, and website entries just through Memorial Day. I think yesterday alone I did probably 6 or 7 more, and today I don't even know how many I did. It's a very busy time of year right now for all of us. Took and managed many hundreds of digital photographs, probably thousands, but they're in so many different files that it's hard to do an accurate count. We updated the Facebook and PennHUD website daily. We updated our PennHUD patch presence several times weekly, and Pinterest on a more or less monthly basis. I designed and laid out 2 issues of Soundings entirely in-house, and I'm already working on a graduation issue, which will be published in mid-July. It takes a while to get the good graduation photos back from the yearbook photographers, so we like to wait for those since they have the best camera equipment. I prepared and oversaw production of 5 issues of The Lanyard. The 5th issue, actually, I told Mary Pat this evening, is in production right now and will be out hopefully next week. It was a complicated year. I really admired Joe. Well, I always admired Joe, but this was an interesting year. There were lots of things came up that were unexpected. And we had email blasts and Facebook updates and website updates on very serious topics. For instance, the lockdown at the high school last fall, and even we issued some information about Ebola when there were concerns, local concerns that it might end up here when it was discovered in New York City. Personally, I participated in a number of building events. I did morning announcements and read-alouds and worked regularly with the PTA Council on communications and other issues. Made friends and some enemies with the local press. When they didn't treat us well, they heard about it. But we always try to update and improve our coverage and make sure that we're working with them in the most effective manner we can. Budget season was a success, again, thanks to Enrique and Joe and the board's hard work. I know Barbara in particular took the show on the road quite a bit. And the great thing was that we were able to cut our newsletter way down to 4 pages, and that saved not only on production time, but also on printing and postage. And it does look as though that's the trend in districts around the region. I see a lot of budget newsletters through BOCES, and 4 pages seems to be the way people are going. It just makes good financial sense, and I think it impresses the taxpayers too. As far as new things, we began implementing new branding, which is the ship that you see in the upper right-hand corner of the slide, and we phased out as many outdated logos and taglines as we could. The one area where this is taking some time and will be more fluid and flexible is in the area of athletics, because so many teams have jerseys and all sorts of spirit wear that already have anchors and things like that. So that's an area that is going to be ongoing. We designed and released new stationery and business cards for all key staff. I designed those in-house. We designed and implemented new faculty staff birthday greetings, and Joe sends a birthday card to every person who works for PennHUD. And
Not the okay
We didn't get
we'll have to look at that list.
It's going.
We'll have to look and see if the hardworking volunteers are on there. I also participated in the development of a new branded PowerPoint design, which is what you're looking at. So we're very happy with that. I had a lot of help from Matthew Swerdloff on that. And I want to just, since he's not here, I want to thank Matthew for all of his help. He's been just amazing, and he's my right hand an awful lot of the time. I couldn't have done a lot of this without him. Speaking of Matthew, I was an active member of the website redesign committee, helped to select a new website vendor, met with the PTA, met with staff people, met with a lot of folks who gave input into the website process. And we are meeting for a final time on Friday afternoon for about 3 hours to review what we've done, and the new website is in the process of being developed and is getting ready to launch later this this year, so we're very excited about that. One of the things that we talked about doing, and I was really happy to be able to realize, was incorporating student stories into soundings. We had, if anybody got to look at the last issue that came out a few months ago, there were 2 stories written entirely by students with students taking photographs. And I think that's just, something we really need to keep doing. We need to highlight what HEMHUD students can do and what better ways than to publish their work. There's a new alumni outreach effort, which Beth Gruber is spearheading, but I've been helping her with that and gathering alumni success stories, one of which was already published in Soundings, and there'll be another one in the graduation issue. And then Joe's new baby is the new audio interview series, which came out of his very intelligent brain and was realized with help from Matthew. And we interviewed a series of students who are talented in what I say is both traditional and outside the box areas. The traditional areas are mostly athletics, but the outside the box areas are amazing. And when I'm done, maybe we can just show people where it is on the homepage. We won't on the website. We won't log in and listen to any of this, but it's a very good program, and we're going to do kind of a launch in another few days. Looking ahead, recommendations and just things that I think should either continue or should begin to happen. We need to start a school success database. We need to list notable student accomplishments as they happen by school and have those handy so that when I need to provide that kind of information for promotional purposes, I can access it quickly. And my successor, whoever that may be, should be intimately involved in setting that up. It shouldn't be hard to do at all. But it's something that we found we needed when we've been asked for those kinds of data. We're going to continue to develop the key communicators list. That stalled a little bit when things got busy in the early spring, and then we'll begin sending out periodic email blasts. The student assistance counselors have been really amazing and have asked me to help them get out the word on the student and family issues, particularly around alcohol and drug abuse awareness. I would love for my success to continue doing that. I think it's a key aspect of of the mission that was given to me when I was hired, and I think it's something that we need to let the community know that this is something we take very seriously and we work very hard on. I would like to see more high visibility ways to promote HEMHUD, whether it's posters or banners, video and audio spots, obviously free ones wherever we can get them. And I'd like us to work more closely with the library and other community organizations to promote our district successes. The ways in which we do that now are by having our stories published on a little monitor at the library, but I think there's more collaborative work that we can do, and it just requires a little bit of brainstorming. Feedback, I won't read all of them, but these are just some of the things that people have said throughout the year. The one I loved best was all of your lockdown communications with the public were so spot on. That was a note from my superior at BOCES, who said she was incredibly impressed with the way that Joe and Jim Mack and Matthew and I handled the sort of real-time communications about the lockdown. So that was really gratifying to hear. And the other one that I loved was from a middle school teacher who said, "This has been my home for so long. It matters greatly to me that you are getting the word out about all of our wonderful kids' activities and results." That's the kind of thing that anybody who does this job is really thrilled to hear. So lessons learned. Everything can stand a little editing. If you're writing a story, I don't care who you are, let somebody else look at it. I learned that the hard way for years. And I think that, it's something that we can all benefit from. Always have a camera with you, and if you're not unsure whether you should take a picture or not, take it. Well-lit, in focus, colorful action photos are best for our purposes. Smile and say hi to everybody. You never know where the next great story is going to come from. I have gotten a lot of stories just by stopping people in the parking lot. It's amazing. Business cards are one of the best things that, from a PR point of view, that you can have. And I don't know whether you as board members have them, but if you do, well, we need to see about that. But anyway,
It's great to hand them out. It's an amazing outreach tool.
Yeah. Call me.
And teachers, staff, and especially kids are going places. Sailors are going places. This is an amazing district. I've worked with so many school boards and so many school superintendents in my almost 17, 18 years doing this either as a newspaper reporter or as a school PR person. And I have to say that Joe is the best superintendent I've ever worked in, and you all are the best board I've seen. And I've watched a lot of boards in action. I think that this district is very lucky. The people that live here should be grateful for what they have. And I wish everybody an amazing amount of success in the future. And this is where I'll be. So come see me. Come see me. I'll be eating Mexican food and drinking Negro Modelo beer.
We'll be here.
But somebody made us an offer we couldn't refuse, and we're moving out there. So hope maybe by the end of the summer, early fall, I'll be in transit. If the real estate gods smile upon us.
I just would like to personally thank you so much, because every single time, that I came to you with a story, I didn't even have to say it twice. It was done, it was written, and it was more than I could have ever expected. And every time I finished one of my road trips with Joe and Beth Gruber, we would go back to Beth's office and we would all have the opportunity to sit and converse with each other, and I just want to thank you for all of those times. It's been such a true pleasure to work with you.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't get to know all of you better, but I feel like I know Barbara as well as anyone, and I think that this community is blessed, as I said, to have people like you. The other thing I wanted to do was say thank you to Dr. Gottlieb for her sense of humor and her style, and especially for loving the same book that I do. We both think that the best book ever written in the English language is Mike Mulligan and his Steam Shovel. So I'm amazed to have found a kindred spirit here at the district office, and I wish her well. Can we key up that page quickly and just show people where the audio stories are? That's it. Okay, so this is where you're going to go if you want to hear the audios. You go to academics and then scroll down the left-hand side to student interviews. And what we have right now is, I believe, 6 or 7 5 or 6 minute interviews between Joe and a particular student, including the handsome and incredibly tall Carson Jacobs. And
he looks like his dad.
It's
With both hair.
He's the only person I've ever seen who looks down on Joe.
I've inched my chair up, so.
Yes.
What happened to the one with Taylor Chrissy?
She's coming.
I was interested, I was listening to that, and
We're starting with the seniors. We're launching with the seniors, and then we're going to move into the underclassmen in another week or two. But
It's wonderful. That is such a wonderful.
Well, it was Joe's baby. He said to me, "Why don't we try this?" And next thing you know, we were doing it. So that's it. And thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions?
Well,
I just want to say thank you from the brand member. I was on the strategic planning committee. What we came up with, that's what we brought to the table, was branding, giving it one look, one, I'm liking what I'm seeing, I'm liking what I'm hearing. Our hard work at night, and those committees coming up, it's coming to fruition. And I think it's going to make the district better, more marketable for people, as we heard the one gentleman here with the houses, and people moving in, the younger families as the baby boomers are moving out. Just thank you, because it's nice to see that the work we did is coming to fruition on that aspect. Because it's not really what you would think on the educational perspective, but it brings everything we do in the district together. It brings it all together and gives it one look, so we're not having do the school. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One of my earlier careers, I've had sort of 3 or 4 major careers, was in the corporate graphic design, and we designed logos and did branding for Fortune 500 companies. So that's something that's been pretty near and dear to my heart for a long time. So I'm really glad we're able to do something.
And I wanted to thank you so much. I'm sorry that Munich will kind of permanently be a part of your autocorrect on your phone and everything, and I apologize for that. But it's incredible, me and everyone else who gets written up on the webpage. It's so cool to be able to see your name out there, and then working with the lights on the front board and everything. It makes us feel special whenever we do something, and it's an incredible thing. And So thank you from all of us.
Well, I told Jazz tonight that he really has to stop achieving now because we need to make room for some other students. Gotta head off the trail.
The minute you hit J, you just go straight to jazz mute.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. And one of our goals has always been to get the word out about our district, and thank you for helping.
Thank you. It's an easy job considering what a great district it is.
Excellent. We wish you well.
Pleasure to read well-written, concise, clear, and positive things about everyone.
Thank you.
Because it makes the day go much easier. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Our next item is a resolution that Carol brought forth maybe a month ago from West Putt, maybe a little more than a month ago, and was sort of kicked around through the advocacy end of the school boards, Westchester Putnam School Boards Association. And school districts initially, I think, were a little hesitant to sign up and make a statement around the governor's APPR plan. And a lot of things have changed, and a lot of traction has been gathered around Get It Right New York, hashtag Get It Right New York. So what you have in front of you is a HENHUD specific resolution that came from West Putnam. I'll let Carol chime in on its origins and why this might be important for us.
All right, so this just gives us an opportunity to lend our voice to so many others at how unhappy we are with the APPR process as Governor Cuomo has proposed it, especially the heavy emphasis on the state testing. And hoping that lending this district's voice in with so many others will help the regions to make wise decisions about the direction that we're going with this, and also to let Governor Cuomo know that we're really not very pleased with the way things are going at the moment.
So if we support, we'd like to have a vote, and we'll let the state know, and we'll let the boards, the various board advocacy groups, particularly at West Putt, let them know that we support their position.
Do you want to discuss anything about what does anybody need to be read Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Do you want to touch on any of the 1, 2, and 3 or anything, or are you?
I don't have it in front of me, so you have to scroll up.
Can you? She's got glasses. Yes,
the glasses are very fine. Okay. Do you want me to read the points?
If you're comfortable, I'm sure everybody has read this, and just for the record or whatever. But
I mean, I'll just summarize. But I think it is important that we just
clear what you're asking.
clear what. And what we're asking is that we ask the Board of Regents to convene the task of qualified educators to examine this. We're not, I think there is a need for reform, but I think what was proposed is, I think everyone agrees, is just not conducive to good educational decisions, and especially with the questions about the test. We demand that the regions convene a task force of qualified educators to just review the appropriateness of the state test and the proposed evaluation system. I was with a teacher today who was just noting that it had no bearing when the ratings were done, not a teacher here, but another district, as to what the district viewed as who's a good teacher or not. It just is so almost subjective on who we happen to get as students, so that's part of the problem. Demand the Board of Regents allow the draft regulations, just, I guess, give a 90-day comment period and then move it back to September, and then just demand that the board, again, gather input from qualified educators and reject certain elements that really place too much emphasis on the state test. So I think it's very reasonable. It's not a, we're asking for more input, more transparency, and more time to get this right. And it's so important because these children, are under a lot of pressure, and as the educators are, we have to really take time to examine this before there's this much high stakes on these tests, which are so laudable in some ways, but so uncertain. So that's my summary. If anyone else wants to say anything?
Just got a question. Are there other elements of the Cuomo education reform agenda that we are against? I can't remember all of the elements. I mean, it's APPR,
I can tell you, Charles, from from West Putt's position, as well as the conversations I've been a part of with the Superintendent's Council, we did a press conference a couple weeks ago in Harrison. These are the big ones around APPR, which funding is tied to. And what's happened is Cuomo's education reform bill, or plan, has actually encouraged groups who typically have not partnered together to partner together. And parents, teachers unions, administrators, the administrative group in New York State, the Superintendent's Council, everyone is now saying the same thing around evaluation, when maybe 5 years ago they weren't. So I haven't read the bill or his law, to be honest, but what NYSBA is saying, the Superintendent's Council is saying, is the three salient points that Mary just provided an overview of.
I think there are other elements such as, I don't think the 4-year or 10-year track is a bad idea. Things like that. I think that's actually, you could use a little more time.
But I think people, especially teachers, are the most upset about children taking tests that haven't been written by teachers, have not been evaluated by teachers in their, to see if they're really good, valid test questions. And I think that if you're a teacher and you're being graded on something that you had no input into the creation of, it's something you just sort of sit back and water. And I think I commend Carol for bringing it up, so.
On behalf of our teachers, they will feel so supported that this board is advocating on their behalf and their children's behalf. So it's really wonderful. Thank you. This is so hard on our teachers. And it's not just the testing, it's all the time that's spent worrying about the testing and preparing for the testing. That takes away from what school should be, which is a joyful place.
Carol, would you like to make a motion to approve this resolution on behalf of the Board of Ed?
Can I make a motion to approve this resolution?
Well, you brought it to our attention, so if you would like to. So you brought it to our attention and pushed it, so thank you very much. Oh, yeah. All in favor? Never mind, I'm not being nice anymore, we'll just do it regularly. Our next thing is a policy reading. It's a second reading for policy number 5270, athletic placement process. It is a second reading, and the section 135.4 letters of the regulation of the Commissioner of Ed provides for a Board of Ed to permit pupils in grades no lower than 7th grade to compete. I just figured we'd at least get the first sentence, so we got the idea. But do we have any questions regarding it? Regarding this particular, Mary, this is yours?
No, it's actually, it's the policy put in the districts because we were mandated to do this. I know Charles had some questions.
Well, I have some severe concerns about it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't print what I wrote, but my issues are is that it's put forward, it's as a way to evaluate whether a student is socially and emotionally and physically able to compete at a higher level. And yet, the policy that INPUD put forward, which is really the draft policy that was put forward by New York State Education Department. Okay, my concerns are what criteria are used to evaluate the emotional maturity and readiness, who does the evaluation, and how the decision is documented. And then how the HHSD draft policy documents the process to be followed by students, families, and the district, including timelines and things to be done. We have a responsibility under DAS, Dignity for All Students Act, to avoid placing students in situations where they can be bullied or harassed. And since the New York State Education Department in this policy makes it clear that the Board of Education has the ultimate responsibility for making sure that for the APPP decisions, I think we need to have in place with this policy valid emotional maturity and readiness evaluation criteria, documented emotional maturity and readiness decision procedure with the responsible person to do it, and a record-keeping documents in place, and then a well-documented timeline, checklist, and procedures in place for the overall process.
Charles did, I was reading the email he sent. So I've had a conversation with Tom Baker today, and we're meeting early next week to review a lot of the concerns Charles echoed and those other ones articulated in the email. I can tell you that the way Section 1 is responding are to have similar criteria and similar regulations so that districts are not seen as more lenient or less lenient in terms of some of these criteria for students to be eligible to participate. The Athletic Directors Association said we need to sort of hold hands and move together, because you don't want to be seen as a district that has lesser criteria or more stringent to make yourself more competitively advantaged, have a more competitive advantage in other districts. So what we could do is invite Tom Baker back to the policy committee meeting. We could have him address the board in terms of where the section is on some of those areas. But it was certainly brought up at our superintendent's meeting 2 weeks ago around the social emotional scale, because there aren't that many that are as quantitative as school districts would want.
Yes.
And Charles, I think that what's missing here is the policy committee did review this, and we reviewed the background and the regulations, which all required review of emotional and social maturity. So it's all encompassed within there, but I think it does, I agree with you, it should be more clearly stated.
Actually, no, it's not very clear at all, because they are very meticulous about putting forms and checklists and standards in for physical and biological maturity, and skills check off, the maturity, physical maturity, biological maturity, athletic fitness, and athletic skills. They check all that off, but the social emotional readiness, they have no criteria, and just kind of in passing says that administration should do it. We don't really point out who it is. All these other things, they have responsible persons and a set of criteria, and then they leave this kind of hanging in the wind. So I think we can be innovative about it and set the standard for Section 1 by going out and looking at some of the things. And I think these are kids, most kids can play up if they're at that ability. They can play up, but you do run significant risk for a significant minority that they'll burn out or quit playing or be harassed by older kids. So you have to make sure that they're ready. You need to figure out a way to do that.
But you can be sure of something like that. Even if you have the best skills in the world.
It's not necessarily just, I don't think, a lot of times when kids, you're concerned about burnout and these kinds of things. That's a product of maybe, kids who play year-round or something. I don't think that's necessarily an 8th grader playing with a 9th or 10th grader. I think that's more, it's bigger than that. I think right now the idea is just to make sure the purpose here, I think it's sort of understood that the emotional maturity piece it's part of it, but I think this does very much focus on the physical ability to make sure that he's adequate, or she is sufficient ability and size that they won't be frustrated, and they won't be, I think to a certain extent making sure that they're capable enough to compete will also mitigate some of your concerns in terms of, whether they're competitive or not, because I think that's a big piece of it, and how they handle that piece. That they know that they are on a level with the other students as well. So my feeling is, I think in the spirit of it, I think it's of what they're trying to accomplish with the athletic placement process policy to make sure that the kids are of appropriate ability and capable to compete on that level. I think I think this covers. We can add more over time, but I think to get this resolved, because we do have to have this, do we not?
I think one thing
For going forward.
in the regulations attached to this, rather than in the policy. No, we don't. That's still in.
Yeah, why don't we, that's what I was going to say, I think,
It would
Carol,
be
we did
more-
have a discussion about it during our policy meeting, that we did want to look at the social work, so I think, I agree with you, Charles, but we just wanted to adopt what was recommended from the state, just to get it, we really had to get it through. But if we added social emotional, physical maturity, social emotional readiness after physical here, and then develop
Create some
regulations,
regs.
I think that would, serve the purpose of at least getting this through, and then allow.
Or we can approve this now, and then when
Yeah.
the regs come, you can tie in, amend this
one reading amendment.
in one.
What do you think about that?
Because I think that you should have the support for the social and emotional.
And the thing is, we have been doing it, that's the other part. And I don't know if we've had issues in the past. Right, we've been doing this, and Tommy told us and he was evaluating it based on, including social work.
He does look at that, I know for a fact he does.
But if
See,
you're.
but other districts are doing it differently. They're stepping out and letting the middle school and high school principals or superintendent or their designee be the one that evaluates the social and emotional readiness. Or West Babylon is setting up a committee that has the director of athletics, principals or assistant principals of the middle and the high school, plus social workers or PE coaches or guidance counselors to evaluate that, because they don't want to put a kid in a position where they can be harmed.
We do have to get this through, do we not? This has to.
It's a
I
change
know,
in.
we don't have to
No, I'm
adopt it.
asking what the requirement is in terms of is it necessary to,
I think before next season, we have to.
well,
so
next
by-
season
which
is,
August.
it's like August, because
Yeah.
that's when football and such start.
In August.
From a social and emotional perspective, I was never an athlete who was going to get pulled up. Not speaking from that perspective, but on the lacrosse team at least, we had a few kids who came up who were really, really small, like smaller than me small, during sophomore and freshman and sophomore and junior year. They were 7th graders and 8th graders, and the entire team just collapsed right to them and tends to all of their needs. No one, we limit what we're saying, the kinds of conversations we have, and we actually make it kind of a fun thing that they are younger.
But I
and
know
that they're
some of
still
those
getting-
children too, just given that some of them
Right, and if they're
were
doing
not
it-
brought up.
Exactly.
That was acknowledged, and some of those students were, in fact, kept at the modified level as well.
Right,
So
yeah, exactly.
it is,
So that aspect kind of comes with it.
But I've seen it happen the other way.
Yeah, but
Where
I
the infighting among the older kids affected the younger kids.
well, it's true, but it also gives them a social upper hand once they do reach high school, and that they've already interacted with kids on that level, and already kind of know how to be in that age group. And it's a forced maturity thing. It's a great process to go through. I think.
well, a lot of them have similar things.
Exactly. Yeah. Better exposure.
So,
Well, if we want to adopt this with the amended sentence, if we want to adopt this and then come back with the regulations that are recommended by Tom and by Section 1, and then add social emotional, it's, however, I prefer to get a policy on the books to allow us to begin the development of the regs, take the feedback from Charles.
But our policy doesn't have, to get the regulations under development. Because
Yes.
the policy as it is really doesn't have a timeline or checklist for any of these.
No, we don't. And I do think we should add social emotional.
You wanna do that too?
maturity after physical maturity, physical fitness,
so social and emotional maturity.
Maturity and readiness.
Yeah.
So if we want to adopt it with that edit, then Roseanne and I can change it, and that will suffice for our second reading, and then we can begin work on the regulations.
And then should we say the superintendent shall develop regulations at the end?
Well, I don't think we need, I
don't think you need to.
think we know, I think we get this, and then we can just come back and just add the regs. I think that's, just bring it back in 2 months.
But thank you, Charles, I appreciate you. And you can come to a policy.
So can I get a motion to approve with policy number 5270, athletic placement process policy, with the addition of the social and emotional maturity and readiness statement. All those in favor? Okay.
Hey.
Thank you. Oh, was he opposed? One opposed, so it's 5-1, please. Thank you. The next policy would be a first reading, and that is for policy number 4326, program for English language learners, which I will not read at all. The Board of Education recognizes that bilingualism is an asset and we strive to ensure that all students, including English language learners, okay. Mary, is this yours?
Actually, Carol had worked on it. So we already had a policy on the books. This is updated to reflect the new rules and regulations for the state. And this is our second reading.
Yeah, I think it's our second.
Yeah, this is the first.
It's our first?
Okay, it's a first reading revision.
That's right.
Okay.
But this is such a significant change.
So any questions?
Well, it is a first reading. The purpose is just to reflect the, update hours and the new state regs.
Right.
So we can bring this back next time.
There have been some special changes in the grades, which we didn't put on the policies because it references the regulations, but it really regulations for children and for teachers that, there's a lot of positives to them. They allow students, for example, to test out, it's easier to test out of the state proficiency exam, for example, if you have disabilities, you can actually, there's a committee that can review the results. There's a lot of positives here. We didn't go through each change in the regulations, but we probably could have done a red line. We had a red line.
Yeah, we had a red line version.
But if anybody wants to see it, just ask me the list.
In the second part of the document, do we technically have a bilingual program? We don't have a bilingual.
There are regulations for bilingual programs. You need to have, to be required to have a bilingual program, you have to have 20 students in the same grade who speak the same language. That's never going to
So
happen.
technically, we don't have a bilingual program. And the next part of the document, the letter, it talks a lot about the bilingual program that we don't have one.
Well, our numbers aren't anywhere near.
There were two documents.
Do you want to see them by then?
Only districts with large populations of English language learners. In that regard, we may want to change, we didn't really go over the first sentence policy. We went over the policy. We may not want to say bilingualism.
It's the exhibit, it talks a lot about placement in bilingual programs, this and that, so the letters needs to be edited. But actually, there's one thing, do we have a case manager for?
Yes, because the ESL teachers serves in that.
So I think that should be.
There's not an EIP written for children who are English language learners.
I'm just thinking it would be good because what's our graduation rate for ESL students? Low.
I have to ask you.
Low 50%.
I don't think so. I think they're doing well. You have to remember our numbers are very, very low. So if you have 8 children in the high school who are English language learners, 2 of them are seniors and 1 graduates, that 50% number is not all that solid.
This is the first reading, so if you have questions and things that you'd like to see adjusted, I would suggest maybe sending that, and they can be incorporated in.
So do we, maybe we shouldn't call it the bilingual program, we call it the ELL. That's
I don't know what they
English
actually-
is a second language program. Yes, the children are now called English. English is a new language. It's not ELL anymore, it's ENL. English is a new language. The program is English is a second, just be consistent with the ENL. English is a new language.
No, that's under, actually, it's under Linux now.
It's under pupils, yes.
It's going under PPS. So the ENL L program will be under PPS. I don't know if you need to reflect that.
No, that's just to approve out.
But we may not want to use bilingualism in the first sentence, so we can talk about that.
Because if you use their notes and they can incorporate that into what they're.
So all semantics.
All right, thank you. We'll give that a little bit, like, not the next meeting, just to give you enough time to look at that a little bit.
But the regulations are so much better.
All right. That brings us to audience comments, and then any board comments, new business, et cetera. Are there any items that anybody would like to? I just say, our next meeting will be 2 weeks from tonight on.
Recognize the BOCES, the pool program. We got video, and I think everybody should watch that to look at the diversity of kids that BOCES helped. It's just extraordinary. And that is due to the board, working closely with BOCES to get their capital improvements in place and advocating for those things to be done. It's just an amazing thing for those kids to watch what they were doing before.
It's really impressive.
First public school in New York State that has a water therapy center, and I've been there twice now, and it is a very, very special facility for those students. It's lucky to have this.
Just wishing our seniors an enjoyable and safe
Prom night, yeah. Please come back
Or
safe.
weekend.
Yeah, and the weekends. Yeah.
Just come back
Yeah,
safe.
and then we go off to, a lot of us are going off.
So tell my own kids, if you can't be smart, be safe. Wish you all well, seniors and otherwise. And our next meeting is 2 weeks from tonight on the 24th of Wednesday, and it will be back in the library.